Hey, I am gonna talk to you today about how one small change can really change the trajectory of your life, which is really exciting to think about. So I hope that you enjoy. My name's Alyssa Cohen, and I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So I help women who struggle with hormone imbalance, weight they can't seem to lose, anxiety and depression, fatigue, digestive issues, skin issues, and I help them rebalance their hormones, regain their energy so that they can really live the best and the most optimal life that they deserve to live. So, I was actually going to talk today about what a regular period should look like because I think that a lot of us walk around thinking that having terrible symptoms and things like that is normal. But I was listening to a podcast today on, it was the Minimalist podcast. We've been listening to more of their stuff recently. We watched the Minimalist thing on Netflix, documentary on Netflix. And so then my husband downloaded the podcast, and I downloaded the podcast, and I was listening today, and they inspired me because they talked about how one small change, one small shift can really make a huge impact in the trajectory of your life. So one small change right now, like a 10 to 15 degree pivot, he called it. So when you take a 10 to 15 degree pivot, say you're walking down the road and you pivot 10 to 15 degrees, or 5 to 10 degrees, it doesn't really feel like it changes anything. You feel like you're still walking in a straight line, you're still going in the way that you want to go. But if you stayed on that trajectory of that 5 to 10 degree pivot and you go further down the road, it really changes where you end up. So I made a little visual of this. So here's you now. Here's my representation of 5 to 10 degree change in direction or pivot. It's probably more than 5 to 10 degrees, but you get the idea. So if you continued where you are going now, 10 years later, here's 1 month, here's 1 year, here's 10 years. Oh yeah, I was reminded that this is backwards, so it's probably a little confusing. And then we look at you pivoting 5 to 10 degrees, and 1 month from now, okay, you're like almost in the same spot, so it's like not really that big of a difference. 1 year from now, I mean, that's a pretty significant difference in terms of your trajectory and where you end up. But look at 10 years from now. The difference between these two spots where you end up is huge. I think about 20 years from now, and that's just with one small 5 to 10 degree pivot. What if you made a change today and you've changed 5 to 10 degrees, your pivot or your trajectory, but then you're like, oh, I feel better. So then I'm going to change another 5 to 10 degrees, and so I pivot further this way, and like, oh, that feels better too. I'm going to change another 5 to 10 degrees. And how all those small changes in your trajectory of your life really add up over time, even though they feel so small. And I wanted to relate this to the way that we see our health, I guess. So sometimes when we are struggling with our health, whether it's our weight and we want to work out more, or we want to eat better, or maybe we have a chronic illness of sorts, and it just seems like there's no hope. There's so much stuff that I would have to change, and it just seems hopeless and pointless, and why even try? But if you made one small change, maybe for you, one small change is getting up during your workday and going for a 10-minute walk at 10 a.m. and a 10-minute walk at 2 p.m. If you're one who sits all day at work, that 20 minutes of walking in your life, it may seem insignificant, and 1 month from now you might not notice any change. But think about if you did that for 10 years straight as compared to not doing it, and the difference that you might see in your life. Or maybe for you that means I am going to not have the Diet Coke today at 10 a.m. and no Diet Coke when I get home from work. And then, man, 1 month from now I feel better. So what else can I change? Well, I'm going to choose to eat breakfast today instead of not eating breakfast. And I'm going to choose a breakfast that is full of fat and protein. So I'm going to have 2 pastured eggs and some spinach and some sweet potatoes. And man, I feel better. So another month from now, I'm going to do another 5 to 10 degree pivot, and I'm going to make another small change. It doesn't have to be big. It's just a small change. And you can see how over time that really adds up. And not only does it add up, but it changes the trajectory of our life over longer periods of time. So all I really wanted to say is that if you're struggling with something, or you're approaching a goal, or there's an obstacle in your way that seems insurmountable, and you don't know how to surpass that or, approach that, one small thing. Make one small step and do it for a week or a month until that becomes part of your daily habit. And then add something else and do that for a week or a month until that becomes habit. And then maybe you stop there. You don't have to, it can be small incremental change over time. So, and that's part of what my job is as a health coach, and helping women achieve their optimal health is helping you figure out what that one next small step is that you can take in the right direction, because we can't achieve goals overnight necessarily. I mean, there's probably some goals we can achieve overnight, but health goals in particular, they have to be small incremental change, and they have to become habit, and we kind of have to have a roadmap of where we need to go. And sometimes that can get a little overwhelming of when we have so many steps that could be the next right step. There's lots of places to begin, there's lots of places to continue to, and so when we don't know what that next right step is, it gets a little overwhelming. So that's my job as a health coach, is to help you figure out that next right step and help that step become inevitable, so that you do that step and you do it well and it becomes part of your habit, and then we can add in the next step. So if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with those things I talked about at the beginning, irregular periods, fatigue, difficulty with fertility, digestive issues, constipation, diarrhea, anxiety, depression, I would love to sit down with you and do a free coaching session to talk to you about what it is that you want to accomplish, what you want your life to look like, what's holding you back from taking that next right step, and help you figure out what is the one next action step that you need to take to moving forward in your health and feeling better. So, comment below, what's your next action step? What's the next thing that you need to do to move forward in your health? Just one thing, one small thing. It doesn't have to be huge. Put it down below so you can be accountable to that one small step, and take that step today. Because the sooner you take it, the sooner you can change that trajectory of your life and do that 5 to 10 degree pivot. Alright, talk to you next week, and maybe next week we'll talk about irregular periods, which is very exciting too, to me. Alright, bye.